So in our journey, I'm going to touch on some really obvious things. But I think these obvious things still are worth examining. And the first one is this. Yes, I'm talking about misinformation. You guys have probably already seen the rhetoric that's circulating. It's becoming very, very common, this idea, well, this isn't really misinformation. You're just trying to silence a certain perspective. It's about cancel culture. No, I'm talking about stuff that is wrong. If you believe that we can use science to systematically explore the universe and nudge us closer to the truth, if that means anything to you, then what I'm talking about is misinformation. There are things that are lies that just aren't true, right? The world is not flat, right? The world's not flat, right? We landed on the moon, right? Oh, and then there's the Queen's corgis. Have you guys heard about this? They're so cute, aren't they? You haven't heard that the Queen had the corgis buried with her alive? Alive? That's worse than Richard Gere and the gerbil. Who gets that? From the 80s. Okay, you guys can Google that later. Completely ridiculous, right? Not the truth, right? Taylor Swift and Kelsey did not rig the Super Bowl, right? Chemtrails are not real. Did you see in Tennessee? Just very recently, they passed a law banning chemtrails, right? Talk about the normalization of misinformation. And it may feel like it sometimes, but lizard people do not run the government, despite the fact that millions of Americans believe that, right? There are things that are lies, right? Now we're going to get a little more controversial here. I think it's important to recognize that there are other kind of lies that continue to do harm. Again, if you believe in the systematic analysis of our universe, these are, ivermectin did not work on COVID. There's good empirical evidence to say that. But we know the lie associated with that continues to do harm. We know that the COVID vaccines do not cause fertility issues, but that lies out there continues to do harm. We know that the COVID vaccine is not causing people to die suddenly, but that lie is out there and continues to do real harm. In fact, every single time a celebrity dies, it's because of the COVID vaccine, right? And despite the fact that those things are demonstrably untrue, we see a belief in those things increasing and doing real harm, right? This really does matter. In fact, we've done research on this, and we've shown that these ideas haven't been marginalized. They haven't been silenced. On the contrary, what's happened, and largely because of social media, is the BS is amplified, right? These marginal fringe ideas that have often been disproven have actually been amplified in pop culture. And the other interesting thing is I work in this area a lot, and I hear a lot of people complaining about the idea that they've been silenced, and they often complain about being silenced on the world's most popular podcast, right? Joe Rogan's got 100 million followers, I believe, right? And people go on there, I've been silenced. Or they're on the world's most popular cable news show, I've been silenced, right? We should all be so lucky.